evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice.
And I am Alfred, Ocansey.
The news is also live on Casme 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. On Facebook, we're streaming live on 3FM 927. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours, governing New Patriotic Party announces its intention to demonstrate against the Electoral Commission if it grants NDC's request for a forensic audit of the voters' register.
Also this evening here on Hot Edition, we have details of that press conference earlier today. Pressure Group Democracy Hub vows to proceed with the intended demonstration near the Jubilee House despite a court order restraining the conveners.
Coming up later, NDC expresses grave concerns over dire situation facing Ghanaian students studying abroad on government scholarship, accusing the government of neglect.
Also this evening, we'll give you details of that, and the NDC expressing grave issues related to what the DRIP project has been over the period and the reaction so far. We understand there's been some arrests in the central region. We've got details of that. Our central regional correspondent will be joining us with the latest on that one here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And also we have details and responses from the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, accusing the ECG of exchange rate manipulation leading to 7 billion Ghana cedis loss. We have updated all that. Also in the courts, Beatrice, guess what? Boat holdings have been ordered to pay 1.9 million Ghana cedis after a passenger of boat finds himself and his photo as a driver in the right request.
An interesting development we'll get into later on this program, but for now, Grace Hamoajiman is here with a summary of the news. Grace.
Hi, Beatrice. So the activities of Galamsey operations contribute to the environmental factors that lead to Ghana recording over 24,000 cancer cases annually, according to a joint statement released by the Research Staff Association at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and the Research Scientists Association at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. The statement indicated potentially toxic elements such as cadmium, arsenic, chromium, and lead are associated with cancer and non-cancerous diseases. The paper adds that the illegal mining menace poses an existential threat to Ghana's environment, public health, and economy, calling for urgent and sustained action immediately instead of rhetoric. Away from that, President Akufo-Addo has assented to the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Bill 2024 into law. Parliament on July 30 passed the bill after several failed attempts by successive parliament and administrations. Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dakwa Newman, made this known on her X page, stating that what is now left is the implementation. The passage is considered as a landmark legislative effort in Ghana's quest to achieving gender parity across all sectors of society while encouraging diversity at all levels. And General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodiafrimpo, has said the recent demonstration organized by the NDC over the voters' register was just to create tension in the country. At a press conference in Accra on Thursday, September 19, he described the protest as needless, mischievous, and deceptive. It is obvious that recent agitations by the NDC pertaining to the 2024 provisional register are needless, deceptive, mischievous, and a deliberate attempt to create tensions in the country, he said at the meeting. And before I go, that Bolt story where Bolt Holdings, the data processor for ride-hailing platform Bolt, has been ordered by the Adentan Circuit Court to pay a lecturer and chief executive officer of a software solutions company, Justice Noah Adade, an amount of 1.9 million Ghana cedis. This was after the court had found that the company had failed to detect the stealing of the lecturer's identity and its subsequent use by a driver. Mr. Adade in August 2022 ordered a Bolt ride on his phone and found himself, that is his photograph and details, as being the driver to pick him up. When the ride arrived, it was his own employee, one Peter Walker, who was driving the vehicle. Mr. Walker admitted to stealing the lecturer's identity and successfully registering himself as a driver on the Bolt app. Interesting. Well, that's it for the news summary. That's it for the news summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Hamoajiman, and let's bring you the details of our story.
1.9 million. That's quite an amount of money.
It is indeed.
Let's bring you the details of our stories. And the New Patriotic Party has announced its intention to demonstrate against the Electoral Commission if it grants NDC's request to conduct forensic audit of the voters' register. The EC has come under pressure to allow for an independent audit of the electoral roll after a recent protest by main opposition party, which is alleging irregularities and unauthorized manipulation of the voter album. But the governing MPP has described the NDC's call as hypocritical. Its General Secretary, Justin Frimpong Kodia, has been articulating the MPP's position on the matter at a news conference. He urged civil society organizations to ensure that political parties don't overstep their boundaries to interfere in the Electoral Commission's constitutionally mandated role. And we'll bring you that quite shortly. But we are joined by the Communications Director of the MPP, Richard Ahiagba, Richard Ahiagba will be joining us very shortly. I promise you, we are going to bring you all the reactions to this. But ahead of that, I think we can hear from the General Secretary of the MPP now, just speaking at that press conference earlier.
Question by my friend from TV3, and the last one are almost similar questions. To start with, the position of the New Patriotic Party, as I did articulated, that there is a tradition and convention, and this position was stated by the NDC in 2015. Certainly, we are not saying that the voter register is sacrosanct and is perfect. Definitely will be challenges in it. And that is why in the wisdom of CI 91 and CI 127, they made provision on the processes to address these issues. So our comment and position is that if indeed, generally, we have issues about the register, there is a process that you have to follow. And that process was through the voter exhibition. So if indeed we have identified some error, make those errors known to the Electoral Commission. It's very simple. Yes. Since 1992, at what point in time did an independent body did the work for the Electoral Commission? We have been doing the exhibition from 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 12, 16, 2020. At all points, there was exhibition, and the exhibition was used to correct anomalies in the system. Just like what my brother said, you citing Pusiga. The Electoral Commission, yes, admitted that there have been issues in Pusiga. Not only Pusiga. For them, it is part of the process. Definitely, there will be issues at various centers. It is possible that there are still dead people's names in the register. It is possible that some people wanted to transfer their votes, but the system didn't capture it. It is possible that the system, whether deliberately or by accident, might have transferred people without their knowledge. That is why we have all this system, exhibition. And the case that they have made about dead people in the register, I find it very preposterous and laughable. Because as it exists now, by creation of God, people are born every day and people die every day. Yes. So even if we clean the register today, on December 7th, there'll still be dead people in the voter register. So you cannot stand on that basis and make the accusation that dead people in the register. So at least these are issues that we need to think to and put it to the NDC that they have no case in it. A friend also asked about What if the NDC, the Electoral Commission, see to what the request that the NDC is making?
And you heard the General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Frimpong Kodia. We're joined by the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Haruna Mohammed. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, madam.
Beyond what we just heard your General Secretary say, we also understand that the MPP intends to hit the street if the Electoral Commission decides to grant the petition, as it were, of the NDC. Why?
Good afternoon to your charity viewers on social media and then on your channel on 3. I don't think that the General Secretary just mentioned that the MPP will demonstrate should the Electoral Commission grant the NDC's request for forensic audit. This was in response to a question that was posed by Media General person, and the video or the audio you just played ended without a response.
It ended without, ended without a response, but at least he said that in his response. And let me quote him. If the EC accepts the position of the NDC, the NPP will also hit... Yes. So I'm just saying that why is he saying that if the Electoral Commission decides to go ahead and grant the petition of the NDC, the MPP will also hit the street? I'm asking why.
So that's where I was building the point to come, because I was sitting there. He answered the question and asked, what if that they go ahead and grant them, and then we see that then there is the need for the MPP to also go on the street. This was in response to a question, and the premise of it was that the NDC's request is on their constitutional right, which we are not hypocrites to go against them. But it is not a regulatory right, because it doesn't fall within the regulations of the law, which is Regulation 91 as amended in Regulation 126. He did indicate that there has always been precedence as to how this is done. And he went ahead to quote Justice VCAC CRAP Commission, what they told us. They said the veracity of the register of a voter depends on the honesty of all clients of Ghana. And we said that all citizens of Ghana. And the press conference here told the people of Ghana how dishonest the NDC has been. We quoted conspiracy matters on which NDC has raised allegations without substantiating them. One, we raised issues about their victory. We raised issues about their numbers in parliament. We raised issues about the compilation of results after the 2020 and their determination to make Ghanaians to believe that they have won. But it exposed them when they went to the to the Supreme Court for the election petition. So these are people who are always not honest in their response. So we are challenging them that submit all the data you have to the commission, as the commission has invited you on a certain date and you had the discussion on your own request. So if you are not able to provide, and EC decides to move away to question their independence, because the independence of Electoral Commission is not questionable. So if the independence of the EC becomes questionable, then the MPP will have the right to also demonstrate, because we need to have the independence of the commission not to be questioned at all.
Mr. Mohammed,
have been told by the NDC, and that is why we've asked what has changed, because they have told us that the EC is so credible. The EC has been this. The EC should not be manipulated. Our request for audit has been in absurdity. This is all that they have said. So if they are honest enough, they should present their data. But if EC should attempt to do something that is outside the law, then the MPP will have no option than to also tell them by using our constitutional right to write to them or to demonstrate or to make a paper.
Mr. Mohammed, we'll go to the law bit, but granted that all these allegations you're leveling against the NDC are true, what is wrong with the NDC doing a forensic audit, and why? I'm not done yet, sir. And why is the NPP fiercely rejecting this? In fact, I will just read a quote of what your national organizer, popularly known as Nana B, said on another station, a local dialect station, where he said, "We in the NPP will not allow any foreign interference. We will not allow any so-called independent body to come and sit on a constitutionally created body mandated, well-established, having districts and offices." And in fact, if you go on, he says, "We will fiercely resist any attempt by the EC to employ another body to conduct a forensic audit." Why is the NPP taking this position?
It is why, because we have done so, we have protested, we have written to the commission, we have provided data in the past, and all that the EC could tell us was that by a committee that was set up was that the veracity of the register of voters depends on the honesty of the citizens of Ghana. That's what we were told in the commission's report. And then we were told by the then NDC, now their national chairman, who was the general secretary, told us that the EC is so credible. The current flag bearer of the NDC told us that when you are losing elections, you rather resort to going to the roads and be running around and doing demonstrations. What has changed now? What has changed is what is the question that we are asking. So if the NDC thinks that this is what they have to do, and in the past we have been able to set up the road, we submitted data, the EC has not followed it and said that there are processes to do so, and they've raised questions and asked us that we should point to the CI 91 where cleaning of the register is being stipulated. If they do anything contrary, that is not in conformity with the law. That is what Nana B is talking about. The General Secretary also made the same remark, saying that if anything is done outside the procedure that has always been taken, because the MPP request was not, there was no audit, nobody was brought outside to do an audit, the independence of the Electoral Commission must not be questioned. We are all for whatever will make the register clean, but not to introduce any foreign thing to be done on this. We are not against it. We be hypocrites to do so, because we have always called and we have used the right channel to do so. So if we are to bring a foreign person, remember, the data of EC was sitting with STL. The data of EC was sitting with STL and the NDC. We questioned that because they were third parties. So we must not be introducing third parties into our work. Nana B quoted portions of the 1992 Constitution, which gives the power of independence to the Electoral Commission. So if the Electoral Commission will go and bring a third person, or somebody is calling for a third person, what is the reason behind that? A third person should come and audit our register? No, we must defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And that is the essence of what lawyer Nana Boachi is saying, that if anything is done contrary to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, he will have no option to come on the street. And that is exactly so. These are no questions. We are not coming with guns. We are coming to defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. But any other thing, if EC is going to do an audit and they call on IPAC and we agree on the modalities, we will all go for it. But to call a forensic audit that we should bring an outsider to do that, no, which is not in conformity with the law. We would not be accepting that.
There are critics who are of the opinion that the NPP is perhaps colluding with the EC to rig the elections. How do you respond to that, especially with this stance taken by the party?
Issues with the EC. We have issues. We have also gone through the register. We have written. General Secretary indicated it today that in a week's time we'll be submitting a written response to the Electoral Commission regarding what we have seen in the register.
What issues do you have?
Been the road. That is the road we have always gone through. We have done an investigation of that register, and we have also put on our responses, and we are sending it to the commission.
What are your issues with the register right now? Because we haven't heard them.
When we present it to the commission, you'll get to hear that.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Haruna Mohammed. He is Deputy General Secretary of the governing MPP.
Well, let's stay a bit further on this matter, because Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is on the other telephone. Beatrice, the Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. Rashid Tanko, appreciate your time. You did hear a number of the things that Haruna Mohammed said. He's also listening to you as we speak. One of the issues that Justin Kodia Frimpong, who was the General Secretary of the party, the NPP, indicated in that press conference earlier today was that there hasn't been any audit of the register since 1992, or no other entity has done the Electoral Commission's work of sanitizing the register since 1992. Is that consistent with the facts, as it were, or the issues that have happened in the past?
Well, let me say good evening to your cherished listener and my brother, Deputy General Secretary Aruna. Let me say good evening to him. Alfred, technically, their press conference or press statement, I don't know how to describe it, whether it's a press conference or a press statement he was reading, is flawed. Technically, it's flawed. If it was to be in law court, they would have been thrown out. Because the premises or the basis upon which they were reading the press conference was faulty. One, he was quoting a wrong law to buttress their point. As he mentioned, CI 127 has nothing to do with registration and exhibition. Completely. If you have the CI, go and look at it. CI 127 is about elections. It has nothing to do with of exhibition exercise, how corrections are made and all that. Nothing. It has completely nothing. It is CI 91 as amended by CI 126. And the amendment was just about some 3 regulations that were amended when they were trying to take out birth certificate and all those things. So clearly, that is the heart of their press conference. And so it's completely false. It means they were just lying and tricking the whole general public about what they were reading out there. But let's go into the matter. You see, the issue that we are talking about is, it borders on one, criminal conduct on the part of the Electoral Commission and a machination to rig the election. And then for him to say that the Electoral Commission register has never been audited, it's neither here nor there. Completely. When they were calling for the 80,000 Togolese to be expunged from the register and their party members' names were taken out of the register, that led to the formation of Justice Scrap Committee. What was it meant for? Was it a dancing committee? Or was it a beautician committee? The committee was to investigate your allegations. And you cannot investigate somebody's allegation without looking at the register, because they are saying that that register has 80,000, almost 80,000 Togolese in the register. Unless otherwise there's a different definition of audit that we are yet to come across. They couldn't have been investigating that allegation without looking at the register. And they did that, clearly, and came up with a verdict. And then because when they use the term Ghanaians were not, should be honest, the political or stakeholders should be honest in looking at the register, they were referring to MPP because they were not honest enough by saying that there were 80,000 Togolese, because there was nothing like that in the register. They didn't find any traces of that nature. That is why they are what they were looking for. In any case, when Madam Jean Mensah was the IEA director and was calling for an independent body to investigate or audit the register, was Madam Jean Mensah speaking out of Jupiter or Mars? Was he not speaking in Ghana, which is in the F? That is what we are saying. That you see, we should be principled in whatever we are doing. It appears the NPP is caught in the web. It's like that collaboration between the NPP and the Electoral Commission to rig the election. They have been caught in the web. And now they are finding it extremely difficult to disentangle themselves from that web. Hence, this later day press conference they have held.
But let me establish this, Dr. Tanko. Is it the case that you have not, as it were, met the Electoral Commission to make them aware or presented to them the details of your concerns? Do you have an idea of it? Because I'm reading now, Dr. Bosman Asari is saying that they have addressed all your issues. But do you have an idea of what the Electoral Commission has addressed or corrected, as they have said?
Alfred, I'm happy they quoted our 5th September meeting with the Electoral Commission. In that meeting, the Electoral Commission refused you, the media, from coming in. I'm sure if the media, you had participated in our meeting with the Electoral Commission, this discussion wouldn't have ensued, because you would have been reporting what transpired in the meeting. When we hit them with evidence, with proofs that they have manipulated the register, and show them copiously evidence, in fact, enough pictures of people that they have removed their names, people's names that have transferred illegally and all that, they made us to understand they have done some corrections, and that they have also seen some of the things and they have done some correction, and that they have even interdicted some of their officers and all that. And we said, okay, if you have the corrected version of the register, because they were reading from a register which looks different from the one exhibited and the one we have. So we said, okay, then give us that corrected version. This is our external drive. Alfred, we gave them our external drive. As we speak now, external drive is still sitting in their office. They have not returned it. And they are telling the whole world they have done correction. You have done correction. I don't know whether they've done the correction and sent it to Ahudomi Cemetery or Osu Cemetery. Because we haven't received it. Nobody has seen the corrected figures that they are talking of. The corrected data, where is it? So they have corrected it in their heads, and they are keeping it in their heads. And we are saying that what you have done, let us bring it out. It's one of our demands. Re-exhibit after the audit. When they are telling us that we haven't handed things to them, if they were mindful and they were serious IT officers and they are at the Electoral Commission, we showed them the software we use to analyze the register and that. They would have used the same software. They shouldn't be asking us on this. We told them point blank that we are not going to allow you people to go into solving a problem that you have created because you use words like deliberately added this thing. When somebody says, I deliberately added these numbers in order to help you. Did I ask you to deliberately add anything there? That's a criminal conduct. You intended to rig the election by deliberately adding those figures. They use the terms like that. And in any case, they are comparing apples to oranges. Alfred, the previous Electoral Commission you used to know is not the type of Electoral Commission we have now. It's a different Electoral Commission. This Electoral Commission, as it is constituted, is more or less a wing of the NPP. These are NPP fanatics, party supporters, foot soldiers who have been assembled and made commissioners at the Electoral Commission.
Well, the NPP essentially says that your call for this independent audit of the voters' register is hypocritical and mischievous.
How hypocritical about it? In 2016, when they were calling for it, did we prevent them from prevent Charlotte Osei from forming the 5-man committee? We were in power. Did we ask Charlotte Osei that you have the constitutional mandate to do whatever it is? So therefore, don't form a committee. Did we do that? We allowed Charlotte Osei to use her office, the constitutional mandate, because they wanted to engender the transparency, free, fair, integrity that they were looking for. That is why they formed Justice Staff Committee. In 2012, when they were making reference to 2012, UNDP supported Afarajan with funds when we first formed the biometric register to go into a register so that we all come to understand, because that was the first time we were using the biometric register. So what are these people talking about? As if Ghana came into being under NPP. And I'm saying that how hypocritical is it that when we made appearance before the Justice Staff Committee, made presentation, and they also came there and made presentation. Why didn't they hand over their 80,000 Togolese thing to Charlotte Osei and say, we don't need a committee? Charlotte Osei, you take it and work on it. But they made appearance before that. So who is hypocritical this time? They are now telling us that we should rather go hand over what you have to the Electoral Commission because they are constitutional mandate. Did you do that in 2016? Okay. The MPP, ask them, did you do that in 2016?
So after this enough is enough demonstration, what next?
We have other plans for the Electoral Commission. In fact, we gave them 7 days, 1 week, and we are marking time. We have lined up another beautiful plans waiting for them, because listen where we are talking about. They should compare that one to previous registers, Alfred, and see who can just say, did we have that evidence of people going into the Electoral Commission system, their own officers, manipulating data and transferring people? And you are telling me exhibition is going to solve this. Who told you that when you go to exhibition, you are looking for manipulated data or added data into the figure? Is that what we do in exhibition? And I'm not surprised they were quoting from a different law. They were quoting wrong laws at their press conference. Another serious reader would dismiss their press conference with the content it deserves. So
the CR91 doesn't contain the process of correction?
CR91, that's what I'm saying. It's our exhibition. Correct. That's where you talk. But you don't quote CR27.
Okay.
CR127, be talking that is meant for corrections and all that. It has nothing to do with that.
Well, Dr. Rashid Tanko, appreciate you. Thank you.
Grateful.
Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC.
And we bring it some more here on Hot Edition, because conveners of a planned 3-day demonstration to occupy the frontage of the Jubilee House, dubbed Occupy Jubilee House, have vowed to proceed with the action as originally scheduled. This comes despite a court order restraining the organizers' Democracy Hub from staging the protest at the Revolutionary Square. The group intends to hold its protest from Saturday, September 21 to September 23 over the government's failure to deal with illegal mining menace and other governance issues. But the police sought and obtained a restraining order against the organizers, citing potential breach of public order as well as threat to public safety, public defense and public health. Addressing a news conference this afternoon, the Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Grace Ansah Kofi, explained that the court action followed the organizers' refusal to consider an alternative location for the protest. Listen.
The only issue is that the police and the Democracy Hub disagree on the choice of location, that is the Revolution Square, for the planned protest. The service has duly communicated in a letter to the Democracy Hub that we are prepared to sit with them once again and agree on a location, and also that the Ghana Police Service has put in place sufficient security measures to ensure that they get the opportunity to exercise their democratic rights.
But the Constitutional Rights and Strategies Policy Advisor for Democracy Hub, Oliver Bakavomawo, says that the group will not change the protest venue as proposed by the police.
I had to break the gates to allow people enter in there to go see what is happening there, because it is hurting that 58 million US dollars.
It's a language, right? Like they just picked up some English. These days, I think that the police have been using a lot of ChatGPT to write a lot of these things. It has no substantive meaning. You can come up with all kinds of, big English to deny substantive rights. Now we are here at the Revolutionary Square. Yeah. It is nothing but a dilapidated space. This place is accessible to the public. There's nothing security about this zone. Mm-hmm. There's a hustling and bustling of pedestrians and buses. The whole place is open to the public. Mm-hmm. But every time we've tried to have a protest,
but there's a seat of government here.
But that's the essence of it, right? From the very days of this country, even from the colonial times, our people have always reserved the right to walk up to the seat of government and show their grievances. Yes, on Saturday we are here till Monday. The place is well cordoned off. The police, in fact, we have tried to engage them severally that whatever security arrangements they want to put in, whether they want to surround us with all the Ghana Armed Forces authority, they can do that. We would stay here peacefully. We would have discussions, we would have, learning opportunities to teach people about the Constitution. We want to do everything to draw attention to the evil that Galamsey is.
Now, meanwhile, the police has picked up a member of the Fix the Country after he was seen in a viral video tearing down posters from the National Cathedral site. Ralph St. Williams, also known as Fellow Ghanaians, was arrested at the Kotoka International Airport whilst en route to Kumasi.
I had to break the gates to allow people enter in there to go see what is happening there, because it is hurting that 58 million US dollars has been left in a pit and nobody cares about it. The Chief of Staff, the Speaker of Parliament, including all the parliamentarians, they have allowed this to be happening. Is it not the same president that told us that he's going to protect our money? I shall protect the public purse. Is it fellow Ghanaians? Was I the one that said it? Is he protecting the public purse? The public purse is there. Maybe the president has been driving around, and because he's in a tented, Land Cruiser, he does not see what is happening there. The gate has been opened. He should drive through and go and see what 58 million has been used for. Tell me, if you're a fellow Ghanaian here, and you gave your money for somebody to build a project for you, and after 2-4 years, you come to the site and see what is there, would you be happy? Come and crucify me for that. I did it, not because I'm just trying to be rude or trying to break the law, but I did it. I did what I did because I believe I'm a Ghanaian, and it's painful.
And you heard Ron St. Williams, also known as fellow Ghanaians, who was arrested earlier.
Well, away from this, the issues related to the Ghanaian students in Ukraine and other parts of the world, it continues to catch attention. The opposition NDC has expressed grave concern over the dire situation facing Ghanaian students studying abroad on government scholarship, accusing government of neglect. In a statement issued by a ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Tapak, he drew attention to the plight of students unable to pay their tuition fees, with some facing expulsion and potential deportation. The statement decried the government's failure to honor its financial commitment, leaving the students stranded. The minority indicated over 1,800 students undertaking postgraduate, masters and undergraduate courses are caught up in the situation. They've urged government to resolve the issue without delay. That's what's happening right now with the issues related to the Ghanaian students who are studying on government scholarship in, for instance, the UK and other parts of the world. Now, let's stay a bit further on this. Dr. Clement Tapak is the Member of Parliament for the Bosa South constituency. He's the Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee of this 8th Parliament. Dr. Clement Tapak, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yes, good evening to you, Alfred, and good evening to our listeners. In fact, I got back from our constituency last night, but this is a very important national issue with global implications, and therefore we cannot wait but to bring the attention of Ghanaians to what is going on.
In fact, just last week I spoke to some Ghanaian students studying in the UK, Leeds University and others, who have been giving notices of eviction from where they are staying. Some of them, by end of this month, they would have to look for another place of abode. Others have been giving notices by their universities that they cannot attend lectures in person. They can only follow some of the lectures online. From what you do know, is it limited to just the UK?
Unfortunately not. Since this issue came to a head, and I say a head because, Alfred, you and I have discussed this matter over the past few years, but it looks as though the situation over time has compounded. So we are now beginning to get information about bigger numbers of students, not confined to only one region of the world, suffering this plight. In the instance of the statement that I issued in the name of the minority in Parliament, the information we have gathered so far is confined to only the UK. And even there, the numbers are staggering. I mean, when you are speaking about 927 students pursuing PhDs and master's degrees, owing an estimated £17.6 million in fees alone, we are not even talking about their stipends, then that should tell you that over the period, government has indeed failed to meet its obligations. Unfortunately for us, I am now beginning to get reports that our compatriots also in North America, particularly Canada and the US, are also suffering the same fate. And I dare say that I wouldn't be surprised that by the end of the week, which is tomorrow, we may hear students in other parts of Europe and perhaps even in Australia suffering this fate. And I fail to understand why this should be the case. Why, as a nation, as a government, we send some of our brightest students to go and pursue higher education with the intent that they will come back with the knowledge, skills, and talent to contribute to the development of this country. And yet we fail to make provision for them to be able to get through their studies and to be able to sustain themselves. I mean, is it not a national embarrassment that Ghanaian students are being expelled from their schools. Ghanaian students are being expelled from their places of abode. Our male students are having to sell their sperm just to survive. Our female students are having to engage in despicable relationships, some even in prostitution and exploitative relationships just to survive. I mean, this cannot be acceptable. We have the resources. That is why we send them there. What has happened to the resources that was made available to cater to the needs of these students? These are the questions that we ought to be asking, even as we call on government to immediately mobilize the needed resources to pay the academic fees of these students and pay their stipends. And government cannot just stop there. Because of the loss of trust, many of these institutions clearly would have to sit with representatives of the Scholarship Secretariat after we have paid off the indebtedness to renegotiate memoranda of understanding so that some of these students will be allowed to continue. Alfred, it is heart-wrenching. This ought not to be happening to our young men and women who have only traveled abroad at our behest to gain knowledge and to come back and serve Mother Ghana. This is not acceptable.
And I'm going to ask, beyond this, this statement that has been issued, what next can be done to put pressure? Because if the students coming out publicly to talk about this really hasn't sent the signal of the urgency of this situation, then I really would want to know what next you, the minority on this education committee, would do. But just hold on a bit for me, because Pius Eke, who is a Ghanaian PhD student studying at the University of Kent in the UK, also spoke to me, gave me an indication of what they are having to do to survive. Dr. Park.
Yes.
2021 September. So I've been here since 2021 September. Of course, I came on the Ghana government scholarship scheme. So the scholarship is supposed to cater for my tuition fees and then my, a monthly stipend for maintenance. It is the stipends we use to pay for our rent, our bills, telephone, light, gas, transport, and other personal needs, sometimes buy books and all that. So this money is supposed to be paid every month. But the arrangement was said that for whatever reason, the money will be paid quarterly. Okay, so that was the arrangement. You understand? Because here it's not like Ghana where, some of these white landlords, they don't understand anything, just take you to court for the court to demand their money. People are going through hell. I'm sure you might have heard that some male students are actually selling their sperms.
Yes.
So I know some students from Nottingham University who travel as far as to Manchester, okay, to a clinic, to sell their sperms. And the sad aspect is that you go, excuse my language, you masturbate to get the sperms, and then depending on the weight of the sperm, they are paid between £150 and then £250. Mm-hmm. How dehumanizing can this be?
Well, Dr. Clement Park, that's the reality they are faced with.
Alfred, it is not just dehumanizing. It's humiliating. It is embarrassing. Our students ought not to be suffering these indignities. What crime have they or have their parents or Ghana as a nation committed to be subjected to this level of international humiliation and ridicule? Even war-torn countries, banana republics, have their students having to do this to survive. So we have a government which can find money to pay a contractor for no work done at Palugu Dam, almost $12 million. We can sink in excess of 300 million Ghana cedis ostensibly to construct a national cathedral. A minister of state was found with colossal amounts of money in her houses, and yet we cannot find money to support our own wards, the future of this nation that we have sent abroad to study? Clearly something is wrong. And you were asking about what Parliament can do. You know I've raised this issue time without number on the floor of Parliament. So have some of my colleagues, particularly the Honorable Okujetua Blankwa, as well as the Honorable Roxton Dafiamakpo. We have tried several times, but at almost every instance, we don't seem to get the attention that is expected to shine light on this issue. So I want to encourage the students, wherever they are, they should get together and publicly protest, record videos, and narrate the despicable things that they have to do to survive, and send them to the powers that be, whilst we also continue to push, hopefully through the media, to get these matters resolved as soon as possible.
Dr. Appak, appreciate your time on this. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure as always.
Be in touch. That's Dr. Clement Appak, is Member of Parliament for the Bosa South Constituency, Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament.
And to another issue that's been raging for weeks, and President of the National House of Chiefs, Ojiahoho Yaojebi II, has rejected calls for a blanket ban on all illegal mining activities. Actually, on all mining activities. He instead is calling for stricter regulation to ensure responsible mining. He was speaking at the commissioning of the Bibiani District Office of the Minerals Commission in Western North Region.
You all know I hate galamsey. I fight against it. It, however, does not mean that you shouldn't mine. We own the gold. There are good ways of mining. If you make an application, you will be taught how to correctly mine. Those calling for state of emergency, a ban on mining, are not considering its impact. It will have dire consequences. People can lose their jobs. Do you know how much money we'll lose? We rather need to find effective ways of mining.
State of emergency, mining, hey, no free mining. I say, mining, Eddie. Nemum, our say, your pepper and papa so near the regulated illegal mining, no minya, a mining, a fata. And only everywhere, and to mine, you're very no room, yes, yeah, women and passport,
And you heard that the President of the National House of Chiefs, Ojiahoho Yaojebi II. Now more groups continue to pile pressure on the government to take decisive actions to confront the issues of illegal mining, which continues to cause havoc to water bodies and the environment and erode the socio-economic lives of millions of Ghanaians. For Research Staff Association and the Research Scientists Association of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, activities of galamsey operations or operators contribute to the environmental factors that lead to Ghana recording over 24,000 cancer cases annually. In a statement, they called for the immediate suspension of all illegal small-scale mining activities in Ghana until there is support for sustainable mining practices.
Also, I'll just take you through the findings of the CSIR staff. Over 60% of water bodies in mining areas suffer from contamination due to illegal mining activities. Also, a loss of biodiversity with an estimated loss of 50,000 hectares of forest annually. Activities of galamsey operations contribute to environmental factors that lead to Ghana recording over 24,000 cancer cases annually. Mercury levels around 102 grams per liter reported in blood samples of residents living in galamsey affected areas, and they're demanding an immediate suspension of all illegal mining or small-scale mining activities in this country, and the restoration of that issues related to the operations that government has put in place to clamp down on illegal mining. Dr. Emmanuel Owusu Wiafe is the national chairman of the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association, GOSPA, and his group also is part of the joint health sector unions who have urged action to tackle the ills of illegal mining. He's joining us on the telephone. Dr. Owiafe, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for having me.
Appreciate it as always. Now, the position of the National House of Chiefs President is that instead of a complete or wholesale ban of small-scale mining activities, and then this call for the declaration of a national emergency on it, the consequences of these actions have not been considered by you, those groups calling for that. Is that the case?
Oh, not at all. And I think we have tried to espouse this quite clearly. And it seems, unfortunately, probably maybe a section of our population do not fully understand these devastating effects of the illegal mining on health, as we wanted to espouse, as the even healthcare workers group. We made it very clear that as illegal mining is going on, there is exposure of, our human systems to heavy metals. We can talk about arsenic, we can talk about lead, cadmium, mercury, etc. And when these substances are, they are first and foremost carcinogenic, and when they get into the body, there is so much increased risk of lung, skin, liver, and kidney cancers. And then apart from that, most of these mining centers also, there's huge exposure of even the dust and then particulates of some of these chemicals, which is ultimately even inhaled and is very, very toxic to the, toxic to the human body. And that is also leading to several events of lung cancer. And one thing we have to realize is that we are not just even talking about, the adult population, etc. But there has been evidential proof that newborn babies who are now being birthed in our country, Ghana, are experiencing deformities. We have babies who are born with one limb missing, with some organs missing, and this is dangerous. Apart from that, we are contaminating our water bodies, and in fact, it is a risk to all of us. We are having instances of bladder cancer that is also happening because of especially those who take, these, waters, who take these things, untreated water, etc. And we are also exposed to several other radioactive materials. And so our call is clear. And you see, the point we are raising is very simple. Over the period in time, the output, what is happening clearly shows that we need to kind of have we need to have a recall. We need to put a hold on what is happening now. And so I think that is what we want the government to understand. Let's put a hold and then reorganize the system, because obviously, what is happening shows that the system is so much disorganized, and we are just, playing with our very existence.
Well, we've been on this path before. The small-scale mining activities banned for almost 2 years. We saw some relative gains, and over time it's gotten worse with the impact on environment, on water bodies, and on the forest cover as well. So what are the specific instances or measures you want to be put in place within this period that Galamsey has become another, attractive topic to talk about?
You see, the first thing we called, even from the meeting of organized labor 2 days ago, is that we want the topic of illegal mining, Galamsey, depoliticized. It's not an MPP and NDC issue, because that seems to be what is strengthening, the cause for people to still engage in it. And so we are forcing, TUC was very clear. We were there when we met the interministerial team. We are very clear. We would want to force all political parties to sign a pact that they will depoliticize the issue of Galamsey. And then apart from that, I think we have been very clear. We want a state of emergency declared. We are not talking about seizure of every other activity in the country, no. But for areas where this illegal mining is particularly happening, which is destroying our water bodies, let's declare a state of emergency there. Let the activities be halted. And we can talk about having an audit within that period, so we know who is doing what. If it turns out that some people are legitimately doing their business, which is not harming any, of our water bodies, our forest covers, etc., I mean, those people can go ahead and then probably do that. But that's the period, the halt period, will afford everyone the opportunity to have the necessary audit so that we know the right steps to take.
Doc, appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Emmanuel Owusu-Yafe is the National Chairman of the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association, GOSPA. There. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesme 107.1 and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're back after this quick break shortly here on Hot Edition.
Prepare your hearts for a bigger, better, and an extraordinary night of worship as Jeanette Services proudly presents the 7th edition of Women in Worship. This year, we bring you the Rehoboth Experience. Join the powerful minstrels like never before. Mercy Chinro, Ada Ehi, Diana Hamilton, Empress Gifty, and an all-female team Eternity featuring Effie Grace, JOA, Rafia, Achia, and Lordina the Soprano. Sunday, 22nd September 2024. Gates open 4 p.m. sharp. Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel International, Kaneshi Roundabout, Accra. Rates a cool 70 Ghana Cedis economy and 150 Ghana Cedis first class. Visit Airport Shell, Bachana Total, Community 11, 1 and 2 Shell, or online via egotickets.com or dial *718, *33, *70 hash or call 0248-810-396 to purchase your tickets now. Sponsors: Frital, A-Life, Serene Insurance, Silicon House, Equity Health Insurance, NASCO Electronics, Bell Pack, Ebome Air, Celebrity Studios, Bell Beverages, Media Partners, 3FM, Unya FM. Daughter, you still have a voice.
The luckiest
star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed star 712 hash and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Dial star 712 hash. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial star 712 hash. Now I can to tickets as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now win is the prizes are in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest
star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Hello, good evening. It's time now for the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Ghana Association of Banks vows to step up naming and shaming in response to staff fraud. We'll hear from President John Kofi Adomako, and my name is Minu Afoldu. Stay tuned. And Now straight to it, the Ghana Association of Banks has pledged tougher sanctions against rising staff fraud. According to President John Adomako, banks will intensify naming and shaming offenders alongside prosecution. He added that the association is also implementing more automated services to reduce human involvement in cash handling as part of proactive measures to curb the trend. His comment comes on the back of Bank of Ghana's 2023 fraud report, which revealed a surge in bank staff involvement in fraud at 46%.
On the importance of an integrated approach in Ghana's circumstances, which also aligns with the implementation of the ministry's industrial transformational program. All these emerging sector-specific policies under the Strategic Anchor Industries Initiative, such as the Automotive Component Manufacturing Policy, which complements the Ghana Automotive Development Policy, Textiles and Garment Policy, the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Policy, cover the development of the entire value chains of their respective industries. Furthermore, the various strategic anchor industries being promoted, reinforce forward and backward linkages, and expand the industrial base.
That was President of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Kofi Adomako there. Now, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Michael Otrebefi, has observed the need for interconnections between industries, where the output of one industry serves as an input for another. Speaking at the 2024 AGI exhibition, he noted these linkages play a crucial role in creating sustainable employment.
On the importance of an integrated approach in Ghana's circumstances, which also aligns with the implementation of the ministry's industrial transformational program. All these emerging sector-specific policies under the Strategic Anchor Industries Initiative, such as the Automotive Component Manufacturing Policy, which complements the Ghana Automotive Development Policy, Textiles and Garment Policy, the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Policy, cover the development of the entire value chains of their respective industries. Furthermore, the various strategic anchor industries being promoted, reinforce forward and backward linkages, and expand the industrial base.
I'll take you back to the Ghana Association. We'll take you back now to the Ghana Association of Banks, which has pledged tougher sanctions against rising staff fraud.
The banks do what they have to do. We don't only sack them. But the evidence we have is what we make available to the police, goes to courts, and the courts make the decision. So it's not that we don't want to bang people in. If you steal and we catch you, yes, we will fire you, but we will also prosecute you. If the laws suggest that you go into jail, then that's what it is. And I know a few banks who have taking actions against their staff, and they've been banged in jail. So far as the law allows us to do that, from time to time you see we even put out pictures of people who have been dismissed from the bank for doing wrong and saying that we dissociate from dealing with them. Yes, I think the more we name and shame in the industry, the better it is for us.
That was President of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Kofi Adomako there. Many apologies for the earlier hitches. Now, before we go, the Acting Director of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Osafo Adonting, has emphasized the importance of commercial drivers prioritizing their health and well-being to reduce road accidents. Data suggests that men are more likely to be involved in fatal accidents than women, a trend that can have a significant impact on poverty, as many men serve as the primary breadwinners in their households. Additionally, road accidents negatively affect the national economy, impacting both the city and the trade balance. Speaking at the second edition of Vivo Energy's Fit to Drive Driver Education and Wellness campaign, Engineer Adonting highlighted the critical role of driver wellness in preventing accidents, especially during an election year when there may be increased traffic and potential distractions.
In the past 4 or 5 elections, it has come very clear that the figures swell up against the previous year. This year we have told ourselves that we are going to say no to those trends. And so we have started engaging the politicians. We've had a couple of them at the national level, and we are descending down into the regions and the districts and the constituents to engage them. We are not relenting on our efforts at all. But whilst we are talking about this, the crashes are happening anyway. And I think one particular area that Vivo is bringing to our attention is our wellness. Once a while, we come round with our doctors to check the health status of our drivers. And sometimes you wonder how people's health, their pressures, their BP around 170, 160, some even 190, and they sit behind steering wheels.
You heard the voice of Acting Director of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Osafo Adonting. Well, that's it for Business News on Hot Edition. For more stories, please check out our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Menu. Alfred and Kelvin is on standby with the sports news. Stay tuned.
Well, let's get into the latest in the world of sports. My name is Kelvin Oswanson. Starting from the senior national team, the Black Stars of Ghana, and Ghana has fallen 6 places in the latest FIFA Men's World Rankings after an underwhelming international outing in September. Ghana failed to record a win in any of the 2 group games played in September, losing to Angola and drawing to Niger in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Ghana's 24-year unbeaten home run at the Barbara Sports Stadium was ended in a 1-0 loss to Angola on the 5th of September before a 1-0 draw against Niger. The latest ranking sees Ghana move to 64th, from 64th to 70th globally, a 6th place drop from the latest rankings, and a further fall in 2 places in the CAF region. After back-to-back victories in June propelled the team to 12th position in Africa, Ghana has once again dropped. Now moving away from that, defending champions of the Ghana Premier League, Samatex Football Club have arrived in Morocco to play their second leg of the CAF Champions League preliminary game against Raja Casablanca on Saturday. The Summer Boy-based club will feel disappointed with the result from the first leg, staging a comeback in the first half to lead 2-1, but lost concentration as Mohamed Boulashu scored for Raja Casablanca after 63 minutes. So, hoping that they find the very best of results before their return. Now, all still on the local scene, Kumasi Asante Kotoko head coach Prosper Nate Ogum and his side are preparing for their season opener, which will be played at the Langley Stadium, despite being designated as a home fixture following a disappointing 7th place finish in the 2023-2024 season. Fans have heightened expectations for the upcoming season. Head coach Prosper Nate Ogum has disclosed the club's objectives for the new campaign.
It's about 2 things. As traditionally or typically of Asante Kotoko, it's all about winning. Even if you don't play well, they want you to win. But then I think that we need to also ensure that we give them a lot of fun by playing good, attractive, appealing football. So I'm looking at the performance component and the result component. So I've been telling them that they need to play. I mean, we need to be confident with and without the ball and express ourselves on the field. So I want the situation, or we are training them in a way that even on a bad day, if you have the eyes to watch very good football, you can tell that, oh, these boys did well. Probably they were not lucky. So I want the team to play well, very exciting, appealing, attractive football, and at the same time to be able to win. Because the ultimate, if you could, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, is to win games and eventually win championships or trophies.
So that is from Prosper Nate Ogum. Now away from that, the UEFA Champions League is on and Ghana would expect some players in action. Thomas Partey of Arsenal, Mohamed Salis, who plays his club football for AS Monaco, and he's a centre-back. He's very much thrilled to be facing Barcelona on his Champions League debut. The former Southampton defender has revealed how he's looking forward to his Champions League game, that he's going to give everything against the Blaugranes tonight.
Yeah, I think this will be my debut, in the Champions League, and it's an important game, for the team and for me as well. So we need to focus on the game. Yeah.
And Barcelona, you played them in the Gamper Trophy. Would you say that perhaps gives you some confidence playing them again?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy game, but we won, and you know how they play, how they have like good players up front, they're dangerous, so we just need to go with everything we have, like we played last time.
Well, that was from Mohamed Salisu. AS Monaco will be facing Barcelona later this evening. But let's take a quick look at some of the results and the upcoming fixtures in the UEFA Champions League. Feyenoord currently down by 4-0 to Bayer Leverkusen. Xabi Alonso and his team starting their campaign on a very bright note. Florian Wirtz with a brace, Grimaldo with a goal, and then Willeher with an own goal separating Bayer Leverkusen from Feyenoord. Currently ongoing, Red Star Belgrade are also down by 2-0 to Benfica after 69 minutes. Atokoglu and then Koko are the goal scorers. The other matches that will be coming up, Atalanta will play against Arsenal. We expect Thomas Partey to be in action. He's starting in the Arsenal team. Atletico Madrid play against RB Leipzig. Brest will play against Sturm Graz, and then AS Monaco will be facing FC Barcelona. Now, away from that, West Ham United manager Julien Lopetegui is very much happy with his team, and as he praises on the fans ahead of their game against Chelsea, he believes that they've started the season on a very bad note, but appreciative of the support from the team's fans.
No, my message for them is that the first is to be grateful about because they always support us, and they and not only in the home matches, away too. We feel that, and we are very happy with this, and of course we work for to be able to give them good news and good matches, and this is our aim.
Well, that is the aim of West Ham United. Now let's get into Everton, where manager Sean Dyche has agreed to comment on his side's poor start to the season. The Toffees are yet to pick up a win this season and sit bottom of the Premier League table. However, Dyche received big lashing after his side let down a 2-goal lead to lose in their last Premier League game. He says they are going to make everything possible to restart their season better.
We wanted to get off to a better start than we've got off to, but we haven't. So therefore, we've got to find different ways of operating, find different ways of producing to go and win performances. And like I say, you'd always take a lucky one. You don't want to build on it, but you take one. But we had this start last season, so that's a bit of a head scratcher as well.
Well, that was from Sean Dyche. Let's finish up with some news from tennis. And Great Britain's Emma Raducanu has moved through the quarterfinals at the Korea Open, defeating China's Yu Yuan in straight sets. The 21-year-old seized control of the match, winning 6 successive games to wrap up the opening set and then take charge of the second in a 6-4, 6-3 victory. She is expected to play Daria Kasatsina for a place in the semifinals on Friday after the Russian top seed beat American Hailey Baptiste 6-4, 6-2. That'll be all for sports on Hot Edition. Hey, my name is Kelvin Osanza. There is more sports news on 3news.com/sports and 3sportsgh across all the socials for the Champions League updates and all other news. Hot Edition continues.
the most explosive Afro experience of the year has begun. It's the 3FM Afro Connect 2024, happening live on Saturday, 21st September at the monumental Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. It promises to be a day filled with a display of Africa's dynamic cultures, pulsating beats, electrifying performances, and pure Afro vibes. Come and experience the infectious energy of Africa's great people in the most iconic food battle of the continent, the Jollof Wars. Which African country takes home the crown for the best jollof? You don't want to miss this epic celebration of Africa. The 3FM Afro Connect, 21st September at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, Accra. Feel the pulse. Feel the vibe of Africa. Are you a vendor or international exhibitor? This is your moment. Come and showcase your unique products to thousands of culture lovers from around the world. Call 0532 200 927 or 0531 100 927 right now. 3FM Afro Connect 2024, where Africa meets the rest of the world. Sponsored by Fortune Rite, Frito Oil, Bills Microcredit, and
Fidelity Bank, Flora Tissue, and
powered by 3FM with the Media General Group. Follow us at 3FM 927 for more. 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Thank you very much, Kelvin Olson, for bringing us the latest in sports. Let's bring you some more issues here. And President Akufo-Addo has assented to the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Bill 2024 into law. Parliament on July 30 passed the bill after several failed attempts by successive parliament and administrations. Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dakwa Newman, made this known on her X page, stating that what is now left is the implementation. The passage is considered as a landmark legislative effort in Ghana's quest to achieving gender parity across all sectors of society while encouraging diversity at all levels. It also lays out policies and procedures to guarantee that underrepresented groups, particularly women, minorities, and people who are challenged, have equal opportunities and are actively involved in decision making. Let me bring you some more. The bill also sets specific target for gender representation, aiming for 30% by 2026, 35% by 2028, and 50% by 2030. These quotas apply to appointments in public offices, governance positions, decision-making roles, and leadership positions across various sectors. We have Michael Agakpo on the line. He's Senior Programs Officer, Human Rights and Social Inclusion at the CDD Ghana. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It goes without saying that it's one thing to pass a law and another to implement. How do we make progress from here?
Well, I'm happy that the president has assented to the bill into law. But the journey, I always reiterated, is just about beginning. After many laws that we have on the books that are yet to be implemented, it's always the hardest of all hurdles when it comes to translating these laws into reality. So for this moment, we are happy. We have reached this landmark, but the journey is just about starting. And we are hoping that going forward, both state actors, especially being led by the president, and other actors within the public sphere, will push to make sure that this bill becomes a reality. This law becomes a reality.
Now, you're looking at 30% gender representation by 2026 and 50% by 2030. Seems ambitious, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is ambitious, but I think that we have to be ambitious in our pursuit to create the sort of parity and equity that we seek for marginalized and underrepresented populations in the decision-making process of our country. So it is very important that I know this government term is almost about over, but I believe that with the leadership of the next government, we should be able to start showing the seriousness of translating this law into effect. And that will come from, I expect that the next president will lead in this process, in that we are going to look to see how much of representation of women and marginalized populations will be represented in the ministerial appointments that government will be making next year. We are also hoping that the political parties themselves will also start coming to or start formulating policies that will allow for this law to become to sort of be able to capture what it needs to do within their space. So yes, there's a lot of work to do. CSOs, we are going to be relentless. But this is one law that we have been pushing for years, and we are going to not slow down because it's been assented into law. We are actually going to ramp up our advocacy to ensure that we see it sees the light of day.
Michael Akagbo, thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you too.
And that was Michael Agako. He is a senior programs officer, human rights and social inclusion with the CDD. Now, before we go to some issues of health, and nearly 282 million people in Africa are undernourished, an increase of 57 million since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that is coming from UNICEF. My colleague Sarah Apenko has been part of a summit in Abidjan and filed this report from there.
In West Africa, 1 out of 2 women of reproductive age is anemic, with significant deficiencies in key micronutrients such as iron, vitamin A, zinc, folate, and iodine. Although Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal have made significant progress in addressing micronutrient deficiencies, stakeholders in the sub-region are concerned about the increasing rates of malnutrition. This has intensified calls for a collective effort from member states to tackle the issue. The Deputy Representative for the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF in Côte d'Ivoire, Mariana Stebu, believes that malnutrition is a violation of children's rights. She encouraged African leaders to prioritize legislation aimed at improving the nutritional quality of foods for women and vulnerable populations.
There are policies and legislation in place to make sure that children get their adequate nutritional status. The multi-sector nutritional strategies are there to make sure that across the sectors we get the right actions, the right public actions, but also society-wide actions in place to ensure a very good nutritional status for children.
Sarah Pinko filed that report from Abidjan in La Côte d'Ivoire. And that's it for the news on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news.